Orange team.
Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Mike.
I'm Patrick.
Yeah, all right. I'm excited to have you here, Patrick. Thank you very much for coming on and offering to do this. Mike and I, there's a everybody knows right now, right? The world is on fire. You know, there's this big beef, with Quack and a publisher. And everybody is putting out videos, some of them more objective than others. Some of them, frankly, are just irresponsible, in my opinion. So I know a lawyer, full disclosure, he's my brother-in-law, but we've had conversations about this. When stuff like this comes up, I like to ask his opinion. Patrick and I don't necessarily agree on everything, but he's a smart guy and I respect his opinion. And I know that he comes at things very even keel and black and white. So everything that we are going to have Patrick talk about, I'm not going to say that that represents how the Game Talk Network and Board Game Rundown officially, like this is our hardline stance, but we wanted to provide a platform with just straight facts on like what's legal, what's not legal. If you have questions for, legal questions for Patrick while he is here, please throw them in the comments. We'd like to see them. But Mike and I are not going to really throw out a lot of our opinions. We're going to ask some questions. And also, full disclosure, I met Jesse one time. He was nice to me. I talked to him for maybe 10 minutes tops, but he was nice to me. Other than that, I don't know the guy. Mike and I both know West. Mike knows West a little bit better than I do. That's the Mingo on Quackalope. And we both like and respect West quite a bit. But we told him that we were going to do this video, and we told him what we were trying to do, because we weren't going to just put out something that wasn't going to contribute something new to the conversation.
Exactly.
We've no interest in just throwing logs on the fire for clickbait. Like we want to actually provide hopefully an insightful take on this situation and maybe a perspective that some people have not considered. So that's it, Mike. I said my spiel. Mike, if you want to take over, go for it.
No, you're good. I mean, I think you put it very well. I mean, there's so much content out there already on this subject, and some of it's hit pieces, some of it's a log on the fire, some of it's accusations, some of them saying it's a legal matter. I'm not seeing anyone saying this from a position of credibility. If any of these people were lawyers, I think they would have said as much. None of them did. So we brought in a credible source to cover the topic. Glad to have you with us, Mr. Patrick Olsmtead.
All right. Thanks, boys. Happy birthday to Tim.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a fun way to celebrate, to live stream.
You might ask, who am I? Why am I here? Okay.
Please tell everyone.
I've been a lawyer for 20 years. Plus, I finished second in my class. I've been a compliance officer before, risk management counsel. I'm an ethics lawyer. I've been chairing the ethics hotline for the State Bar of Indiana since 2009. I've also defended deceptive marketing actions bought by federal and state governments.
Okay.
Besides that, I've also been a board gamer since about 2005. My wife dragged me into this. I've been working in the industry since about 2015. My first client was Martin Wallace. We worked on the game Brass Birmingham. So very glad to see that #1 now.
Nice.
That is certainly a 10 for me. I will play that at every chance. Besides that, I represent publishers, designers, artists, accessory makers, content creators. Okay. I serve as outside general counsel for board game companies. I've negotiated contracts with Asmodee, Wizard of the Coast. I was also a part owner in Colossal Games. So I was a board game company owner. And I got to see how the sausage was made. And I've negotiated contracts with content creators. All right. So I'm bringing that perspective to this. I've never met Jesse. Don't know him. There's no way he could pick me out of a lineup, right? I've never subscribed to his channel. I've seen a few of his videos. I heard about this Monday night. I was blissfully unaware at Geekway playing games. Julia told me about this. I started thinking about it Monday night and reading the statement by Into the Unknown, which I'm going to call them ITU from here on in. I started reading emails that they published, and I started researching. And then I was up at 3 a.m. watching videos and doing more research on this. I thought that King of Average had the best video on this so far. I thought he did a fabulous job. I watched the Ant Lab video. I've watched others. I saw Jesse's video yesterday. And then I watched some of Jesse's videos about Into the Unknown. And then I started researching that company. And a lot of this stuff really bothered me. Okay? I've had 20 years as a litigator, and I've been trained on how to spot a lie. Okay. One of the things that they will do is project their problems onto other people. They deflect from dealing with real questions by trying to move the blame and change the subject matter. One of the things you try to do is make them stake positions. Then you review as much information as possible. And Sherlock Holmes, where there's want of consistency, we must suspect deception. One of the things they do is mislead with half-truths. It's a very common tactic. So I approach this just like I would any other piece of litigation. And I've spent probably a dozen hours combing through stuff and doing my own research, including on their Kickstarter page and the BGG ratings this morning. And what I see is a terrible pattern in practice. And it really bothers me. You know, and just to maybe watch what happened with the narrative, you know, the issues that I had with Into the Unknown. You know, this was a commenter on a Kickstarter page asked about the last video by Jesse, the confirmation bias video that was, you know, this is unplayable, right? Well, they never answered those questions. They didn't talk about the content of what he was saying. Instead, they deflected by throwing out a narrative suggesting that he was blackmailing him. It is no accident that the common narrative flowing around is that Jesse was blackmailing him. That was by design. That's exactly what they wanted. Otherwise, they would not have made their statements the way that they did. Okay. One of the things I found is that reading through their narrative carefully, I went back and compared it to their quote unquote receipts, the emails. Their narrative does not line up with what the emails say, even those portions that they actually provided. You know, they took out some relevant information. And then there were other troublesome things that I saw in there. You know, first thing, Jesse reached out to them with a proposal. Hey, I'd like to create content for you. My subscribers want me to. Their statement is, well, he didn't get back to us for 2 weeks, is basically, you know, they said 2 weeks later. Well, if you look actually at the email traffic, they're the ones who said, sorry for the late reply. So it's really them waiting 2 weeks to get back with him. It looks to me like he responded that day, answering their 8 questions. And one of the things that I thought was fascinating was in their discussions, they talked about any video that they paid for had to be, quote unquote, strictly positive. Jesse actually pushed back against that. It certainly makes me worried about the other content creators who did provide video. Because if Marcin is saying that this is industry practice that they have to be strictly positive. Wow, I can understand why there are BGG users and YouTube subscribers who don't trust sponsored videos. And that's really unfortunate. You know, it's also, I thought, below the belt that when there is certain information redacted or even omitted from those email threads, that they included the amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that was no, this was no boating accident, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a shot below the belt as the first punch in a fight. That's not someone I would be happy to do business with, and I wouldn't want to defend that if I was a lawyer. I think that was uncalled for. It was intentional. It was completely unnecessary. They could have said he wanted to charge us money to produce content. The other thing is they made it sound like he was extorting them, or in this case, blackmailing them. Extortion is starting to do violence, arson, that kind of thing. Blackmail is sharing embarrassing facts in order to get money. This is not blackmail. First, he never got money for it. He's done everything unpaid. At best, this is attempted blackmail. But it's not even that. What he said was, I've already spent 50 hours. And the reason for that was his subscribers wanted it. He went through this as a labor of love for his subscribers, best I can tell. And other content creators I know will also play games that they don't like because us Patreon subscribers think it's funny to make
Mm-hmm.
them play games that they don't want to play, right?
We think it's funny to do that to our co-hosts. I get it.
Yes. And, Jesse's not wrong when he says my subscribers are your marketplace. Other people may cringe at that, but I can't say that he's wrong because he's got 48,000 people, a lot of whom are asking for the content. You wouldn't ask for the content if you either didn't own the game or you wanted to buy the game, right? So I really am bothered by the way that they approached it. The other things that you notice was he posted other videos. Obviously he did the unboxing video for free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they paid him for that. I don't know. They didn't tell us that. Then he had other videos in the timeline, right? So they go in and on May 12th, they post a video. Hour and 24 minutes. 3 days later, 50 hours in, and another 1 hour, 19-minute video. They got that for free. They didn't complain. They didn't talk about Jesse shaking them down or anything then. But when he puts out the 2 confirmation bias videos and people ask, that's when they unleash this. And that's tough because I think that us board game players, owners, need help from the content creators. I depend on them. Years ago, Julia bought Gloomhaven. I tried to learn that. That has, roughly a 60-page rule book, right? I'd been teaching games at Gen Con in the library, so I had to know hundreds of games and be able to teach them. I couldn't learn that out of the book. I ranted on Facebook about it. And Travis Chant says, I love you, pitying me, may as well said, bless your heart. But I couldn't play the game until Paul Grogan put out a tutorial video on how to play. Once he did that, then I could understand it. I've played 2 campaigns all the way through on Gloomhaven. But I would have never been able to do that without a content creator showing me how to play something that complicated. Now, Gloomhaven is a 3.89 complexity. All right. 60-page rule book. This one is an 80-page rule book in a 4.75 complexity. Okay. Horseless carriage is a 4.19 by comparison. So this is, when you get to those numbers, it's an order of magnitude harder.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it Geekway. I did not know of one person who actually played horseless carriage. When I talked to people, they would say, well, we tried.
Mm-hmm.
We're 80 minutes in. We've played phase 1 of 8. And they give up.
Anyone getting that audio issue? Is that just me?
No, I can hear it.
Is that Tim? We're getting a buzzing, staticky sound on your end, Tim. There we go.
It's
Okay,
better now.
thank you.
But, and so I find it interesting that something even more complex than a game that appears to be nearly unplayable without hours of study has this many ratings to make it into a 9.3. So one of the things I started doing on my own was researching those ratings.
I'll help you out here, Patrick.
Yeah. So I took a screenshot this morning, and there were 50 reviews, right? And I looked at the first 25 of those 50, and then I analyzed each of those people, looking at their user name and then going to their collection and being able to pull out how many games do they have, right?
Like, trying to find the one you said. There you go. Perfect example.
Yeah. So Max DeCock, he owns one game, just happens to be this one, and he opened up a user account on May 19th to give it a 10.
Boy, that's a weird coincidence. Yeah, that's such a weird coincidence. I was so excited that I got this game that I created a BGG account just so I could rush there. And I'm a brand new gamer, and this is the first game I've ever played with that complexity level. Yeah, I mean, it is suspicious.
Now that we are getting into a little bit more of the lighter part of this content, and since we haven't done it yet, I do want to go ahead and tag a few of these comments because we always do, and we love our loyal fans. Brandon won one of our giveaways, and of course, Jason's gonna bring jokes any chance he gets. We're getting really bad audio issues again.
Hold on, there are only 3 lawyer jokes. All the rest are true stories.
Love it. Welcome, John. He was another one of our giveaway winners. That was pretty good. Hey, Jonathan. And then we do have Dan. Dan is watching. Dan from the show. And yeah, it is refreshing to hear a perspective from someone who has covered this kind of stuff before. And that's why we thought our content would be useful today. And yeah, to Malik's point, Patrick, you said they were at 48, which was true, and they've lost about 4,000 subs now. And Best at Star Trek commenting on kind of what we're getting into now. Sometimes you can't trust those ratings. There's a lot of ratings on this game of people that own one game and rated that one game a 10. A lot. I saw them too.
Yeah, when I did my this is anecdotal, but this is the scientific method, right? You go look at the data and you go investigate the data to figure out, is it good data? Out of 25 ratings, I found 7 that to me were obviously fraudulent. Fake Jackson 5 owns 3 games. Iron Max 11 had 31 games, but only did 1 review. You showed Max DeCock. Mars Reaper. He owns
Did I
2
get that one?
games.
Don't think I did.
And then Terran Cobb and Darathol 148 each own 1 game, just like we were showing
Right.
before. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
And it amazes me because according to that, though, he registered 10 years ago. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
10 years ago, he registered. He logged in one day to post this, evidently. I don't know.
Logged in 3 days ago to give us 10. Ooh, we're getting rough audio.
I don't know whose that is.
Also, I have not seen Mr. Paul Grogan in our live chat before. Very much appreciate your viewing tonight. Sorry for the audio issues. Not typically an issue.
He did say that in the comments that the rule book, there's several pages in that ATO rule book that are reference. So it's not necessarily.
Yeah, that's this here.
Yeah. But it isn't all rules. I mean, if anybody knows, it's going to be Mr. Grogan, right? So.
Yeah. The tough part for me, right, is that game sold about 8,000 copies. It's been out in the wild for 6 months. And yet 1,300 ratings of a 10. That's an amazing batting percentage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know how many copies of Terraforming Mars got sold at one point. And, you go compare that to how many of those, turned into ratings on BGG and BGG profiles. It's usually less percent. I mean, this is just amazing to me. What a coincidence. But 1,300 ratings of a 10 when they've sold about 8,000 copies, give or take. And from what I can tell, they did not produce a lot more than they planned to sell. Because I've looked at their campaign updates and him talking about having 30 copies left in December. They only started shipping in November. I mean, I've got Oathsworn on my shelf because Julia wanted it. I got it for her in October. We're here 6 months, 7 months later. It's not played, not once. I think that's a lot more common than someone having picked up, learned an 80-page rule book and played enough of the campaign to decide that it's a 10. And yet, evidently, that's been done 1,300 times.
Yeah, that's a lot of free time. That is a lot of people with a lot of free time. Because Jesse, if he put in a week or 2 weeks, 50 hours of playing the game and filming stuff. And, some of that is filming, by filming stuff. It is, I understand the, you're setting up cameras, you're figuring out angles, you're lining stuff up. I mean, we do that in a studio every Sunday. So not every minute of those 50 hours is dedicated to gameplay, but a lot of that is. And that's just to get into 7 sessions. I think he said he played, maybe not even that many. I don't remember the exact number, but just a few sessions out of a double-digit session game, right? Like 10s, like I forget how many missions they said were in there, right? So yeah, it is weird that so many, like, let's look at another Horseless Carriage, right? For example, very complex game that is out. I don't have a way to look it up right now, but like, how many people have given that 10s? I find that usually the games that are more complex like that, those heavier games, their fans are in there. Those are lifestyle games for those people, but also those are also people that are way more critical of games than maybe I would be, because I will also play Dice Miner, or Happy Salmon. So I don't go in with that I don't want to call it like a board game snob, but like there are people that they don't like lighter weight games. They only want those really complex, heavy experiences. And I like both. I like to shut my brain off sometimes. And sometimes I want to dig in and I want to try to beat the pants off of my friends and do the best I can, at a heavy game. And yeah, John, there are people that will give a game a 10 out of 10 while it's still funding. I don't know how they do that. I've played games on Tabletop Simulator. It's fine. Nothing ever on Tabletop Simulator has blown me away, but it's because I prefer the tactile experience of playing the board games. So it is problematic to me. And until Patrick had done all this research, quite frankly, I didn't realize that it was getting all of those amazing ratings on BGG. So
now some have mentioned that this has been an issue for a while, and there are a lot of other games where this has happened to. And to answer a question earlier, Horseless Carriage has 719 ratings. It has 95 tens. But yeah, there you can find these on other games, but that does seem like a really high percentage of tens in a game that requires so much to even get it to the table.
Mm-hmm. My concern, if I was providing advice to Into the Unknown, right? I don't think it would be hard for an attorney general's office to decide to launch a deceptive advertising action against them and investigate. I can't think of anyone else who would have the motivation to create fake accounts to offer tens. It's conceivable there's fans, but I usually follow.
Tim, we're getting that audio issue again.
I usually follow Occam's razor, right? The simplest explanation is probably the right one. And if I were defending this, I would be troubled.
That sounds back, Tim.
Did it go away
Whatever
now?
that did.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got his speakers on. I don't know. Oh, he just unplugged them. Very good. But my concern would be if an attorney general's office, Department of Justice, Federal Trade Commission, Federal Communications Commission.
We're getting the auto sounds again.
It might be my connection. I'll work on it. Please continue.
Yeah. But, Yelp and other review sites will take down businesses that make fraudulent reviews. One day there's going to be a reckoning in the industry, and BGG is going to step in and make an example of someone. Kickstarter one day is going to step in and make an example of someone. That Kickstarter campaign says, "Why back now?" and shows the 9.3 rating on BGG.
Mm-hmm.
That's right there, front and center.
It is.
And when I did my math, I took 25 reviews. I took out what I consider the easily provable fake ones. When I averaged the rest of those out, and I dropped off the one person who gave it a 1, I dropped that out as well. But that took it down. There were 7 out of the remaining 24 that were fake. That's well over a quarter of the reviews are fake, and that's just at one snapshot in time. But that's today. If you take those out, the game's a 7.11. That's a completely different stratosphere than a 9.3, right? 9.3 is the masterpiece, the greatest game ever made in the history of mankind. I don't know how we could determine that at this point. I think, and based on what I've seen from actual players who have also said this is really tough to get to the table, I think this 7.11 is probably right, especially with BGG's criteria about what a 7 is. You'd recommend it or suggest it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of them. There are. You can see a lot of them actually are recent. Like here's there. I saw multiple where people registered. Like I'm looking at one where they registered today and they only rated the one game. But again, it is a common, well known issue. But you know, it's.
You know, I was involved in the largest RICO action in United States history. I used to represent Lorillard Tobacco and R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Companies. Racketeer influence, corrupt organizations, right? If this company is hiring someone else and it's a conspiracy of 2 or more people to obtain money by fraudulent means, the Department of Justice could prosecute them for RICO. I hope that BGG steps in and thinks about doing something about it. I hope that Kickstarter considers it. Because one day they need to step in, because you can't have this. That's not fair to their consumers. Right?
I mean, it's a false bill of goods, right? I mean, you're not selling what you're purporting to sell.
And it's not fair to the ethical publishers out there.
Right.
Other people have fought really hard to make great games. You know, when I worked with Brass, it was rated the number 8 game of all time. Gavin Brown came up with a wonderful variation with the whiskey barrels. You know, going from 8 to 1, I don't find that impossible. Rocketing from never produced a game to the best on your first shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many games did Eric Lang put out before, he got to Blood Rage and Ankh and, all of the ones that have made him the staple that he is? I'm pretty sure it was more than 1 or 2. But yeah, all fair points. All fair points.
I hope that BGG and Kickstarter step in on their own before government actors do.
Well, and the issue is that it creates a very bad environment for publishers. It creates a very bad environment for content creators, because now, I mean, Board Game Co., who used to be associated with Jesse, I mean, they were losing subscribers just because they used to be associated with him. I don't have a strong feelings one way or the other about Board Game Co., but it's not fair to them that they are losing, and then everybody's going on about, well, what's paid and what's not. I mean, there was a big thing in the Board Game Revolution thread months ago about people not always being upfront about what was paid, promotion stuff, and what is, hey, I'm reviewing this game because I want to talk about it. For us as content creators, we'll grab Bob or Mike's Kickstarter that they just got, and we're going to play it because it's the hot game. And if we didn't love it, it's a big company, we're still going to do a review of it because you know what? It's going to generate content. It's going to generate interaction. I mean, whether we love it or not, I go into every game wanting to like it. I honestly do. And
why wouldn't you, right? You want to have fun playing games,
yeah.
Hey, and remember, you're not allowed to have an opinion on Great Wall till you've played it 4 times.
Right.
I only played it twice, so I couldn't say selling this.
So you've already put 50 hours of work into playing that game.
and that's the tough part, right? Because, I hope to God that Into the Unknown has someone advise them, step forward and say, we're sorry, and we're going to make amends. They should hire someone like a Paul Grogan to go make a video on how to play this. Because I am really disappointed to have learned through Marcin's emails that evidently paid videos mean that they must be strictly positive.
Mm-hmm.
That means you can't say a neutral word about the game.
Right.
wow, do I think there's going to be a reckoning in the industry over this?
Well, because here's the thing is, if I'm getting paid to make a commercial, and please, Simon, call us. We will make a commercial for you. We will be upfront and say that it's a commercial, but it, I mean, you see commercials every day on TV. That's what they do, right? You see commercials on YouTube ads. But even like for I brought this up in the Discord because somebody asked us about like, what's our policy? What do we do? Sometimes we do get free games. Like the Op is awesome. We've got a nice relationship with them. They'll send an email that says, hey, do you want to review game X, Y, or Z? And I will say, yes, send it over. And I give a review of it. Not every single game that they have sent us has been amazing. There are ones that I like. There's expansions to games that they send us that I know I'm probably going to like. So I excitedly cover. But there's some that are like, you know what? Wasn't the best, but we still will put out a video of it. And I say the Op sent us this game. Stonemeyer Games, they have a thing that they do with content creators where you sign up and they randomly every couple of months, you'll get an email from Jamie that says, you can pick from these 3 games that we're looking for coverage on. Send us a link when you've done the video. That's it. We've done that. We did it. We did a video on Red Rising. Didn't love it. We didn't get blackballed from Jamie for it. Jamie doesn't care. Jamie's like, send me the video. Be honest. I love him for being just
Stephen Bonacore.
Right.
He's like, I don't care what your review is. I just want you to talk about my game. He said and most good publishers will tell you there's no such thing as bad press, because the publicity is publicity. And my guess is that Into the Unknown knew that even this controversy was going to benefit them, because there would be people who'd never heard of this game hearing about it for the first time. People like me. When I heard it, I thought, oh, is that an Aeon's End game?
Yeah.
I thought that it was a trademark violation or something, because it certainly confused me. Luckily, I was able to do hours of research. But wow, this is an interesting time. I think that it's fascinating for guys like you to be in the middle of this. And I think that that's a commenter just hit on it. The difference between the influencers versus reviewers. I mean, Jeff, that's a brilliant point. Now, there are times when I want influencers because they don't have to get things right. They can just say, hey, I really like this because the miniatures are beautiful, or the game trays insert is fantastic. You can get it to the table faster. Okay, great. And if you think that's part of a BGG rating, that the minis are neat, okay. It's not what their numbers say, but I'm fine with it. Right? I don't know what goes into everyone's review. It's probably different. If I paint my minis, I'm probably more likely to play it. Right?
Patrick, let me ask your opinion on this, because you made a comment about how it was a little questionable about they were steering them towards making only a positive review only. There was also a comment in there about, we don't want you to compare the game to Kingdom Death Monster. Now, I'll be honest, I don't, these aren't my type of games. I'm more of a Euro guy. I want to play the stuff Paul's teaching. But just going through the comments and the ratings on this game, there are a lot of comments about how similar it is to Kingdom Death Monster. And it appears there are a lot of similarities. How does that make you feel that not only can you only put out positive impressions, but you can't compare it to a game that it is clearly trying to possibly be like?
Well, I think it made sense here in the context of the conversation with Jesse, because if I'm not mistaken, Kingdom Death Monster is his favorite game.
I believe it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, you don't want me defending, comparing things to Defenders of the Realm.
Right.
Which is your favorite. Fair. Okay.
But it's fascinating to me because they were unapologetic in their first Kickstarter page, saying that it was based on Kingdom Death Monster and a couple others.
Mm-hmm.
Monster Hunter, I think, was another one. But, they compared this game, it's almost like an homage to Kingdom Death Monster. I thought it was interesting to get that out just between Kingdom Death Monster opening up their Kickstarter and waiting, 3-4 years or whatever it's going to take to finally get to people. Paul, that is the game that must not be named.
Where's that on front button? It's hilarious. I'm just glad somebody else is pushing Patrick's buttons other than me. It's nice to have. I feel like I have an ally. So,
yeah. But boy, I really do hope that someone from BGG reaches out to me at Origins or Kickstarter, because honestly, I hope that we kind of clean up the hobby. It's not fair to the other publishers. Even Gamma should be stepping forward and saying enough's enough. Because just like getting steroids out of baseball, all you're doing is be getting more and more of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fair to us consumers. And at some point, when enough people don't trust BGG, it's going to lose its relevance.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Oh my gosh. And here's the other thing is that this whole conversation, it does not matter if you like Jesse or if you watch his channel. It doesn't. Those things are arbitrary because what is the most interesting part of this whole conversation is how the publisher has done this seemingly without recourse, right? They have only benefited. Everything that they have done, from what I can tell, they have only benefited. And I feel like some of that is because people are quick to jump without doing much research or concern for the facts. And then anybody that even had a grudge against Jesse are now using this as an opportunity to come out and again, I don't know. I met him once. I don't really know him. I watch another content creator, a channel, lose 3,000 subscribers. And I'm like, well, that's more than we've got. So we'd be done. You know what I mean? And it's terrifying. We try to produce videos responsibly. We got paid one time for a video, and it was a Kickstarter that didn't fund like 3 years ago. And we made it very clear that we were paid by the company to produce videos for their Kickstarter when we put them out. That's it, And then if we get a game, we say, hey, we were given this game by Stonemaier Games.
I'm going to tag these because my knowledge of the algorithm is a little lacking. But they have a way. I've heard they have a way to fight against spam on 10s and 1s ratings. I don't know exactly how they do it. But they have a way to.
Paul Grogan is posting some interesting information. He said that their algorithm can screen out people with one review.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how it does it.
Great. Now I don't know. We've given away the secret sauce.
I don't know. I might have only written one review. I'm really lazy on BGG.
Yeah, maybe BGG didn't want people to know that, Paul. It's kind of like the counterfeiters, right? We had the counterfeit case with Terraforming Mars, and you've got that card that you rip up. Now the counterfeiters know, all right, make one black core card.
Oh, sure. Nice.
So
nice.
I don't know. It's an interesting time in which we live. So maybe we are blessed.
I guess. I mean, it's an awesome time for the hobby in general. There's lots of amazing games. There's better games coming out every day. But I mean, we've got to people. I didn't see how much was that game. If you backed it on Kickstarter, how much do we know how much that would cost? Aeon's Trespass.
Yeah, several hundred, but I will tell you very shortly.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad because there was 8,000 backers and they raised $1 million.
Sure. I mean,
So it wasn't $200.
so
Otherwise, it's
congratulations
1.6.
for a successful Kickstarter, but
The mortal pledge is everything, and that is $634.
Is that the current one with all the expansions like the Heracles?
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is this pledge here. Where did it go after I clicked on it? There you go. Wait, no, we don't want it to. I'm not backing it. Hold on a minute.
You just
so they had
click.
1,000 of them. I saw that they had
Yeah.
1,000.
Yeah, those are always interesting. So, some people show as pledging to get your numbers up, and then they mysteriously come out. And then for other Kickstarters, you're going to see maybe double your money come in late pledges
Mm-hmm.
once they see what it finally is. So those Kickstarters always an interesting, whether it's game found, whatever. And I tell you, another thing that they need to worry about there, I've done GDPR compliance work where I redesigned a board game publisher's website to make it compliant with their rules of the European Union. These guys are based in Poland, and I wouldn't want the European Union, some of those bureaucrats going after me either. They've got other issues to worry about right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, the wrong bureaucrat gets a burr in their side, and wow, can that be tough? I wouldn't want to be defending this.
Yeah.
I would be advising them, you need to get out of this fast and stop it. So it's interesting because getting money under false pretenses,
Sure.
you can be liable for treble damages and attorney's fees in America. I don't know what it is in the union, but if they think it's fraudulent, they can just freeze the funds. And if you've already signed contracts with publishers, et cetera, and paid your designer and all that, that'll put a company under.
Well, and right now it's not. I mean, just shipping costs alone can put a company under. I mean, we're watching.
I serve as outside general counsel to a logistics company. They're back to normal for the most part.
Okay. Simon would differ with their shipping prices on their Kickstarters.
Right. That was their last one, right? Now,
yeah,
they're no longer doing it. They're having Asmodee doing fulfillment. What you need to watch for, the UPS labor strike.
Okay.
July 31st. That's the deadline. We've had unions really going out of their way to make hay now while you've got a friendly administration and friendly NLRB, because the president appoints a couple members. So there's a little bit of overlap between administrations, but, and you've got to get them through the Senate. Eric Garland couldn't get through, for example.
Right.
But, the writers went on strike this year. That's about the last time that and then when was that? That was 2007, 2008. The last time UPS went on strike was back in 97, 98.
Okay.
Range. It's probably 97, because that's the reason I went to law school rather than staying in management at FedEx. So when that happens, it's going to screw up our industry hard, because it'll shut down these games getting shipped to you. So get your games now.
This is all the more reason to just getting good at a local game store, and then you don't have to worry about shipping. Just go.
I keep buying board games instead of furniture.
And the other thing that happens, all the other businesses have a lawyer like me suggesting, hey, you need to get your stuff through the system now. So UPS is seeing even heavier volumes right now.
Sure.
But they hired, I think his name's Sean O'Brien, I think is the current Teamster president. And, he ran on the platform of really being angry about some of these contracts that they feel like they were forced to. And you're going to be collateral damage, and a lot of companies are really going to be hammered.
Wow. Wow. Good to know, man. I did not know about that strike upcoming. I knew the writer strike, was happening, but I didn't know about the UPS one that's coming up. But I've been in a Teamsters union before. I get it.
Me too. I was a card carrying member.
Same. And geez, thanks, Jason.
And Jason,
You've got
I'm with you on that.
Jason solved it. That's why he's here.
They want air conditioned trucks. How are you going to do that when they're electrified? You need a gas engine. Sometimes, or at least that's the way my hybrid works, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a whole thing. We're right. I don't know. Here, we'll buy you these towels that you can soak in water and just put around your neck.
We use those on the motorcycle.
Right. Good enough. Hey, if it's good enough for Patrick Olsmtead, attorney at law, it's good enough for your local UPS.
There you go. As long as it's brown.
Yeah, light brown.
Yes.
Almost tan. Almost.
Not trying to torture anybody here.
Right. We're not monsters. No, man, there's just been so much stuff, Patrick, that you have kind of laid out. And the awesome thing is, and I love picking your brain anyways, when we get to sit and play games, or we have a chance to actually have a conversation. I love even just sometimes being a fly on the wall at conventions to hear your conversations with other, people in the industry, just to oh, I didn't even know this, right? Seeing it from different angles, getting different perspectives, because for the most part, I mean, yes, we are content creators. We are amateur content creators. We are not getting paid, but we are, for the most part, consumers. We are big on the consumer end. We are getting these products. We are buying these games because we want to play them. We just so happen to have a platform to share it, in our experiences with everybody else. But to get a peek sort of under that industry curtain and also the interesting thing about your perspective, right? Because we're not just looking at well, this is a lawyer that only defends content creators and stuff like that. You've worked with publishers. You've owned a company that publishes, co-owned a company that is, published games, a known company, and not just a podunk little one, one that is still out there making games today. So it's really interesting to have your perspective, because you've worked all sides of this angle. It's not like you've come in just, I do this one thing and I'm going to rip it all down because I know how to do it. No, you actually, and probably you're actually even better at it because you know both sides, right? All 7 sides to this, all the different angles you could come at this. So it's really interesting to have your perspective, and I really appreciate it, because I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff, just oh my gosh, I hadn't even considered that a game company would get on and make fake profiles to rate their games. I hadn't even considered that. It sounds like they get filtered out by the algorithm, but if Mike,
only a portion of them.
Fair. But if Mike goes, oh, I wonder what this Aeon's Trespass is, and he goes on to see how many 10s it has, because I know people do that, because when they made a video of why Tim was wrong, they went and looked up all the 10s that I had rated on BGG and picked every one of them apart, which was totally fair. But yeah, so I mean, people do, you go, well, this is really highly rated. If you see a game that's ranked 7,000 and you're like, do I want to spend $600 on a game that is an average rating of 6.5? No, you don't. Do you spend $600 on the greatest game ever made according to BGG stats? Maybe, if it seems like it's something that you like. But
and here's the other part, right? This company is only paying for hype videos. Rules videos and tutorials are extraordinarily hard to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you get something wrong, you might have to go back and refilm. And you can even send it off to a publisher and they can review it and still miss it. The publisher miss that you got something wrong. And if someone spots it, the really ethical content creators out there will feel guilt, and they'll go through and redo their videos.
Sure.
And I appreciate them for doing that. I don't know that that's the standard of care. As an ethicist, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Rules are designed to keep, the bad actors in line, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If everyone were ethical, you wouldn't need the rules.
Right. Right.
I want to go back to a couple comments here. Of course, one, Jason dropping his jokes in again here. No, this is a good counterpoint.
And that's fair. That's fair. But they also, it's not hard to go, hey, my buddy Mike made this game. I'm going to create a profile and get on there. Now, did I ask Mike to make, or did Mike ask me to make this profile and rate it a 10? Maybe not. And Paul, that's very fair. That's very fair, because I have
need to
said
read the comments for people who are just listening.
Oh, I think we should be careful with throwing around those accusations. And that is very fair, because I think that one of our criticisms with the other videos were people just throwing out wild allegations. So I agree with your statement right there.
And Paul warned us that there's no evidence that it's the publisher making those.
Right.
And that's why I said, if it's not, well, if it is, then it's deceptive marketing.
Right.
If it's not them doing it, then it's a RICO violation.
Sure.
It's one or the other.
It's still wrong.
And what the government can do is they can go subpoena your bank records and go follow the money, and then start asking you questions without telling you that they already have your bank records. Right?
Not scary at all.
No,
this is the way they do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way that I catch people in lies. You first go in and you gather information, sometimes, as quietly as you can. Then you have them stake their position. Then you bring forth your evidence. I just hope, for their sake and the sake of people who want this game, that the government doesn't have to step in.
So best case scenario, Into the Unknown was upset by the Quackalope videos, and maybe rationally
one negative video. You're not allowed to say anything negative about their game, or
right. And
they may sucker punch you.
But maybe misinterpreted Jesse asking for compensation to create videos that maybe represent their game better, and they took that as blackmail. I took personally, and this is as a content creator, if the Board Game Rundown makes a video for a game, or of several videos for a game, and we are it's going to be a hot game that we feel like, and it's going to draw a lot of attention, and they're not all positive videos. If I put myself in Jesse's shoes, it's one thing to go, well, we put a lot of time and effort into these videos. If I publish these videos, there's going to be it's going to be what it is. You're going to put it out, and you're going to maybe flame this company a little bit by going, we really struggled with this game. On the flip side, and you've done all that for free. You've done all of that for free. You offer the company, hey, if you want to teach us the game, and then we market this and have a sponsorship, which to me, as I understand it, which would mean that Quackalope would say this is a paid video. If you want to work with us to do this your way, we are going to require compensation for our time, because I can tell you, as a YouTube content creator, the money you get from YouTube via clicks and people watching is a very small trickle. Content creators that are professional make money, as far as I know, via Patreon and then paid content from publishers. That's where you really make money. So for Jesse to salvage anything out of those 50 hours that he put into making videos, you at least release the content that you did make, because the company was not getting back to them in a timely manner. Eventually you cross the Rubicon, right? And you cannot, like, there's not the time to make these videos now, to time out with time for all the timelines to line up. So we're going to get something for these videos we made. So I'm going to publish them. And I mean, he's out of country, so it's not even like he published these videos. They're all pre-planned, right? Like, we schedule videos to publish on date X. I guarantee you he was not sitting in, I shouldn't say I guarantee you. I would bet good money that he's not sitting in Israel saying, today's the day, and clicking the button to post that video. That video has been scheduled to post for weeks or months even in advance.
It was scheduled to come out when the campaign went live, because that's when the hype around the game was at its pinnacle. And sure enough, that's when those videos started coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that he knew that the campaign was going live? Because I have fished through all of those emails. I don't find any evidence of Marcin ever saying to Jesse, we're about to launch a Kickstarter.
Fair.
And,
I guess,
I want to go back to this because this was important and part of the reason why I felt the way I did. Now, ITU says that they felt threatened. But here's what, again, I went through the emails with a fine-tooth comb and compared them to their statement versus what the emails are and where they line up. And that's one of the things where I really struggled with it. I'm happy to go through it sometime. I made big charts side by side of what they said versus what was actually in the emails. That's part of where, if Jesse wanted to bring a defamation claim, I think he's got one.
Yeah.
Because you can't argue half-truths are a defense. Okay? When you say half-truths with a design to spin a narrative, you still run an issue. Some people would say it's either the whole truth or it's a lie.
Sure.
And if they were going to publish the emails anyway, they could have just published the emails without making a deceptive statement designed to control the narrative. Because I don't think that what they said wasn't fair to the situation. Now, they may have felt threatened. Maybe they really did. But I don't think it lines up. And, some of their statements don't line up, because they put in there that he told us to be available and that, we had to send someone there for a week. Well, hold on. You told him that you didn't have anyone available to look at the live stream, to do a live stream with him to make sure that they were playing the game right. This isn't hard. We do this all the time in the industry. I'm sure that you guys have had video sessions where you're playing a game with the designer or the publisher, trying to make sure you get things right.
I have
how the game plays,
or even just on Messenger, or I can text them and hey, here's the times I'm available. You can contact me at this time. I'll be able to respond immediately during these times.
Literally have had correspondence today with a game designer for a Kickstarter game that we're going to do a video for, saying, hey, let's figure out a time where I can make sure I teach you the game. And then if you've got any questions, like, here's my phone number. I mean, this happens. We do this all the time.
This into the contracts.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I've had 3 brand new companies who are coming in as board game publishers this year. I'm writing their contracts. I put in there that the designer has to be available to do this stuff. And again, I've drafted these content creator contracts. This is an expectation. This is industry practice and standards, right? These are the same guys who said, A, we don't have anyone that we can spare to help you learn the game at all. Couldn't do it even for a few hours at a time, right? Because it's not like he said that they had to give him an entire week. He just asked for a block. He routinely asked them to Zoom. This isn't hard to do. When I did a contract with Asmodee, we did it by Zoom to negotiate that contract. They were in France. Their solicitor was in England. This is what you do. This is industry practice. And yet, these same people that can't spend, they can't spare 3 hours, right, to make sure that he's just doing one thing right. They want him to provide 50 hours of video so that they can comb through it. That is inconsistent. If you don't have 3 hours to do it right, how do you have 50 hours to go look over what someone else is doing? Come on.
Yeah.
All that they wanted to do with that was blackmail him. Right? He wasn't publishing 50 hours of video.
Right.
And I understand that there are publishers who want the right to look over your videos when it's a hype video before it goes out. I get that. Again, that's industry practice. Because everyone benefits from people getting videos right.
Yes.
But what these people were doing, again, was making sure that everything was positive. That they really care about that. And remember, this is the guy on February 24 and stuff, continuing to tell people, we need to get that BGG rating up. He knows what he's doing here. And, again, I hope that they make amends. I hope that they say that they're sorry. I don't know if there's going to be anyone worth suing if the fallout goes the way that it could. I don't know what it's like to sue in Poland, right? But if BGG steps in and pulls it down, if Kickstarter pulls it down, there's nothing to worry about on Jesse's part. But I wouldn't want to be defending these guys. But I hope that what they do is they come forward and they say, listen, I felt threatened. I can see a different perspective now. I am sorry. I should not have done this. I'm no longer going to insist on strictly positive reviews. I'm not going to pay people just to do ads for me. I'm going to hire Paul Grogan to help with the rule book. I'm going to hire Paul Grogan to teach the game as a gesture to our followers, and they should pay Paul $7,500.
Sure.
Because then I could play the game. I don't need a hype telling me how to play an unplayable game.
Right.
I needed Paul Grogan so that I could play Gloomhaven.
Sure.
And you need the alpha gamers out there teaching other people and proselytizing and evangelizing your game.
Yeah.
You need the people who are subscribers to Quackalope. Mike, you wanted to say something.
Oh, no, I was just going to tag in his comments about some of the clarification on people they had or didn't have available.
So the comment reads, and not wanting to correct Patrick, but he totally wants to correct you. The email from ITU said, and I quote, "We have no time to delegate someone for an extended period of time."
Continuing.
They did not say we don't have someone free for a few hours. Just to be completely clear, they said they had an extended period of time.
Okay,
is their
all
words.
It takes is a few hours to go over how we are playing it.
Yes, I mean I would agree. I agree with that statement.
And if you have time to review 50 hours of video, or what you expect might be 50 hours, then you should have enough time to do an instructional video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because those are time consuming. I've done 3. I'm not saying that makes me an expert on the topic, but I have done them. I've done them for a game I'd consider like a 2.5 that plays in an hour. And I did one for a game I'd consider like a 2.9 that plays in two hours. One of them, the rule book was so well done that Bob and I were able to actually read from the rule book and then just use our own dialogue to discuss terms. The other rule book was written in such a way that there was no way to read the rule book and create an effective rules video. I had to spend hours making a script. I had to reshoot multiple times because I goofed up things I said. I goofed up the rules, even after I scripted them. It is rules videos are the most demanding content out there,
They're
bar
the
none.
most valuable.
They are 100%. They are worth the investment.
Now, Mike,
100%.
Mike, how much did you get paid to do those videos?
Nothing.
Exactly. We did it because it were games we were excited about.
I liked those games.
We offered the designers, hey, we'd love to do a rules video. You know, is that cool with you? And then we even sent the videos to them ahead of time to just say, hey, please tell us what we got wrong so we can fix stuff. I mean, you know, and that was just as a professional courtesy. If we're going to put out a rules video and say, these are the rules, we better have them right. If I put out a review and I kind of give like a very basic overview of how to play the game and I miss something, I'm not as worried about that. You've got an idea of how the game plays. But if you're making a rules video, you want to have everything right. And you do want to, you know, I mean, we were fortunate. We have good relationships with those designers. They were happy to interact with us and talk with us and spend that time with us. But yeah, Mike, they're valuable videos and they're hard to make.
I don't know if I'm taking this as an invitation. I can.
Paul, do not play with our emotions. Paul said, I'm more than happy to explain how long it takes me to make a rules video on a future live stream.
I mean, naturally, we would love that. But yeah, I know it's incredibly time consuming.
I want you guys to also think about this, right? You know, we in the industry, you know, we want people to be honest, right, with their reviews. Mm-hmm. And you're saying that, you know, there's a difference between sponsored content, etc. But does the word review mean anything to you? Because, you know, on their Kickstarter page, it says reviews. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say advertisements. Right. It doesn't say sponsored content or paid shills. You know, trust me, I like a lot of these content creators that are on here. I enjoy One Stop Co-op Shop. I like Tom Vassell a ton. But now that I know that these reviews evidently are all supposed to be strictly positive, is that fair advertising?
Right. Right. Yeah,
you know, maybe it should be called something else.
Mm-hmm.
Advertising?
Yeah.
It's
strictly positive advertising. Tell me that on your Kickstarter page, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I knew that all those kids playing with He-Mans and G.I. Joes on those commercials I watched in the 80s were getting paid to do it. I thought they were just excited about the product they were promoting.
But I'm telling you, I've handled deceptive marketing cases. Mm-hmm. This makes me cringe.
It's tough, man. It's really tough. Mike and I have gone back and forth, even before we talked to you, Patrick. Like, you know, over the weekend, we're like, oh my God, this is happening. Do you see what's happening? And we've gone back and forth where with the timing of the emails, when Jesse asks for money for the additional content, we're like, is that ethical? Is that okay? And we've gone back and forth. Is the timing of that weird? Is that and we ask because we don't know. We don't.
No, he asked for the money up front on January 19th.
Okay, see, again, right?
That was out of the gate.
I'm just going off of the conversations that Mike and I have had because we've honestly gone back and forth. And so, and then when you get online, if you go online at least until Average Gamer, right? He was the one that had a more level approach. King of Average, excuse me. I watched his video and he had a pretty neutral, like, this is the industry, this is the way it works. You know, I felt like he was way more neutral than some of the other videos that I watched. A lot of the other videos more just were like, Jesse's a dirtbag, we hate him. You know, he cut me off in traffic.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like him. But that doesn't affect that doesn't affect my opinion of this, you know, of this controversy. No, that's not fair. I don't feel like you can say, objectively, I hate this guy. And yeah, what he did here is really slimy. But I also hate this guy. Just so you know, I hate this guy. Like, it's kind of hard to take that person.
You're honest.
At least about that. But it's really tough because Mike and I really, for us to even want to talk about it on the show, Mike and I did not feel qualified to weigh in with our opinions because we don't know enough about that side of the industry, as far as like paid content goes, and also we do not know how to parse through the emails like a lawyer would. So when we talk to you about it and you're like, I've got some very clear thoughts, very distinct things to say about it, it's like, great, now we've got somebody that's qualified, so.
And I want to add, I didn't want to be throwing stones out of a glass house towards my peers. That was not a conversation that I wanted to entertain.
No.
So that is why I'm very happy that you've joined us, Patrick. You have provided some insight that nobody else has been able to offer on this topic, which is refreshing.
Thank you guys for saying that.
Yeah, no, and again, I respect your opinion. You have a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of experience in this industry. I mean, that's also something that I think carries weight with what you're saying. This isn't like, oh, we just got I saw this lawyer's name on a bench and I called him, and
you have benches? Dang.
Yeah. But no, to get somebody that is not just a lawyer, but a lawyer that has worked in the industry, it's like, this is important because this could be a fulcrum point, right? For what is happening. I mean, it is not nothing that somebody loses 3,600 subs in 4 days. I mean, that's devastating to a lot of content creators, hopefully Quackalope is big enough to absorb that. I mean, they're pretty big, but do they keep losing them? Because they have been. Does that finally slow down? And the other problem is, in my opinion, is sometimes the people that grab the pitchforks and start throwing the stones are never going to recant when they're wrong either. So they may not even listen to any possibility of the other side or what is, they've already made up their mind. This is my decision. And they're not going to listen to anything else, which is unfortunate because I've been wrong about things, and I come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. I'm really glad we talked about it, or I thought about it. I mean, I've done it with board games, I've done it with politics, I've done it with relationships in my life. I mean, you got to be a grown up and say, you know what, I was wrong. My hot take, my initial gut, way off. I cooled down, I thought about it. Okay, this is where I'm at. So for Mike and I, it was really important. If we were going to do this, we needed to do it right. We needed to do it in a way that was fact-based and just somebody smarter than us and better at it than us to go through and explain it and go through and all of the stuff step by step.
Wow. It's been an honor to be with you guys, gentlemen.
Well, I look forward to losing to you in some games soon.
Yeah, you'll probably lose subscribers for having me on, but.
Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like we're maybe segueing towards the close anyway. But for those that are wondering, we do stream every Wednesday. Our normal stream is 8 o'clock every Wednesday. We do have special guest Sam Stockton from BA Games, designer of Forges of Ravenshire. We're going to be talking about our favorite dice games. So those of you that already know that, we'll see in a little bit. Those that didn't, this is a thing we do every Wednesday. We love you all for joining us for this 6 o'clock special. We knew this had to be a separate video. So we started early, and we're hoping we could finish before our 8 o'clock stream, and it looks like we'll be able to do that. But I don't think our time constraint took away from the value of the content that, Patrick, you've helped us provide tonight.
And for all the subscribers that we've lost because of this, don't worry, we'll have Patrick on again, so you can unsubscribe again later. So resubscribe. We'll let you unsubscribe again later, because I'd like to have Patrick on just to talk about games. I'd like to do a list with him sometime. You know, let's hear about some of his favorite games, and then he doesn't have to talk work for an hour and a half after he's gotten off of work. We're into dinner time. Did you get to eat dinner before? Did you eat an early dinner? You haven't eaten yet.
Me either. I came home, I turned on my computer, I grabbed some water, and I went downstairs.
So full disclosure then, Patrick, you need to have a Snickers because you're not you when you're hungry. You need
There you go. And by the way, I have played Forges of Ravenshire. That was an instant back for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that very much.
Great.
And I don't know who Sam Stockton is, but I got to play an advanced copy. I liked it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Patrick was here when Sam was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was showing
That
the
was-
game?
Yeah.
Publishers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You met the designer. That's how.
Sorry.
It's okay. You meet a lot of people.
You're good.
I thought it was one of the publishers.
Well, it is. He is the publisher and the designer.
Oh, he's self-published.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
He is. Yep. But of course, thank all of you that have come on to watch our show tonight. This is, quite frankly, a larger audience than we typically get with our Wednesday stream. We knew that was possible. It's a very popular / controversial topic. And again, we thank you all for being here, and we hope you got the value out of this content as well.
And it's a fair point to make. We did not share this all over social media because we were not trying to be clickbaity. I shared it on my personal Facebook page, and I shared it in our Discord. I hope that people find it naturally. You know, this was not to be clickbait. This was to have a legitimate, genuine conversation about the situation. So,
yep. I don't enjoy the thought of trying to capitalize on someone else's anguish, whether I know them or not.
Not at all.
Especially someone that does the same thing we do, Tim.
Yeah.
So that was the angle we decided to come at this today. So.
Yep. Thank you so much, Patrick. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, sir.
All right, Mike, you ready to sign off?
Yeah, as soon as I can find that live stream out thing I'm supposed to find. Found it.
Okay, you're good. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please tune in to us in a half an hour for our regular Wednesday live stream. And obviously, if this video was helpful to you, like, subscribe, all those things. We really want to provide meaningful content for you. So for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
I was Mike.
I was Patrick.
Thanks for watching.
See you guys.